purpose of this presentation is to inform you of the best tips to build a happy marriage. Dr. Ravi Zacharias said that love is as much a question of the will as it is of the emotion. And if you will to love somebody, you can. In other words, love is as much a daily action or choice as it is the feelings and emotions you have towards your spouse. Real love is based on a couple's vows of commitment, for better or for worse. When you think of marriage, picture of a person kayaking on a river with a strong but silent current that pulls south. If the person kayaking doesn't paddle, he's obviously going to go south. Same principle with marriage. Marriage takes hard work. And if you don't apply yourself, your marriage will go south. Selflessness, good communication, and commitment are three crucial elements to building a happy marriage. Once you say, I do, you enter into the lifelong commitment of marriage, and your life is no longer all about yourself. Marriage is a team effort, and it takes sacrifice on both sides to build a happy marriage, bringing me to my first point of my speech. Selflessness. The definition of selflessness is to be more concerned about someone else's needs or concerns rather than your own. And a perfect example of being selfless or applying selflessness is a servant. Philippians 2:3-5 says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. Your attitude should be the same as that of Christ." A marriage takes each spouse to no longer think of only of themselves, but to apply a servant's heart and attitude to their spouse. We should also have a transformed mindset, and instead of having the mindset of, what can my spouse do for me today, instead have the mindset of, what can I do for my spouse today, or how can I make my spouse happier today? And if you don't communicate with your spouse, how are you able to make your spouse happy? Communication is another key point to building a happy marriage, bringing me to my second point of my presentation, and that's communication. Good communication makes love possible, certainly makes it better, and ultimately may be the one thing that keeps marriage from falling apart. Studies show that couples that communicate on a regular basis and intimately with each other, their marriage is less likely to end in divorce. In other words, poor communication fractures marriages. Lack of communication, especially during the hard times, and I know those are rare, can cause you to push your spouse away. But instead of pushing your spouse away, we are to pursue our spouse, even during the hard times, under God's mercy and grace. Communication is also just more than words that you share with one another. It involves establishing an emotional connection with your spouse. Good communication between spouses is critical for marital success. Healthy marriages require more than just communication. It takes commitment, bringing me to my final point of my speech. Marriage isn't a voluntary partnership that lasts only as long as the passion does. Marriage is a profound commitment to be respected even if things go south in the short term. A study was done and published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. 172 people were surveyed, and of those 172 people, 78.1% of them were still happily married after 11 years. 21.5% their marriage ended in divorce. The survey showed that couples that were willing to make sacrifices on a day-to-day basis for the sake of the marriage, they were more likely to have a lasting and happy marriage. Commitment is easy when times are going good, but true commitment is shown even during the hard times. And during those hard times, it shows commitment that during those hard times, your marriage only grows stronger. There are many contributing factors that can lead to a happy marriage, but these three principles are a pretty good start. Implementing selflessness, good communication, and commitment can help spouses develop and maintain a happy marriage. Does anybody have any questions?
Using this information, can you give an example of how this has helped your own marriage?
So what would be a good example of something, or
How this has helped you in your marriage, the studying and finding out.
well, with me and my marriage, still being a newlywed, I would have to say selflessness over anything, because there have been times where my husband will ask me to do something. For example, when I come home from work and I'm exhausted and I sit down on the couch and I get comfortable and he looks over at me and he says to me, "Will you make me a cup of coffee?" I just want to pick the pillow up and throw it at him and then go upstairs and slam the door and go to sleep. But instead, just getting up from the couch, going into the kitchen, making him a cup of coffee, and even putting whipped cream on it for him, and then bringing it to him, and the look that he gives me was totally worth me getting off the couch, even though I wanted to be selfish and relax after a hard day of work. So definitely selflessness.
There's one more question.
Cards.
Cards. Oh wait, that's no. 1, 2, 3.